The way I try to view it is that this is not my business, not my family's business. This is the Lord's business. Every good and perfect gift that we have is from above, right? And so God gives us things to steward. I'll say that through that perspective, if you have that perspective, this is not mine. I'm a steward. So what's the right thing to do? I'll tell you, it makes it a lot easier to know what decisions to make after that.
Ready to roll?
Yep.
All right.
Real Texan.
Why should this matter to Real Texans? Thanks for joining this conversation with Real Texans, talking to men and women around the Lone Star State who are doing things to improve the lives of their communities. Obviously, we're not in our studio today. Instead, we're at Collin Street Bakery, an institution not only in Corsicana, but Texas and around the world even, an impact with Thomas McNutt. Thomas, you are the fourth generation in your fourth generation to be involved with the Collin Street Bakery. Thanks for letting us invade your business and share with you.
Well, Michael, we are flattered that you would think of us to do this. Still a little perplexed, but flattered. But welcome to the fruitcake headquarters of the galaxy. You made it.
So you are described as a fruitcake.
Sure.
You and I've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
And that's fairly apt.
That's right.
But really you guys are called fruitcakes because you make the fruitcake, the one fruitcake
that you want to have.
Well, the one fruitcake that's been spun around the world, what Johnny Carson said, there's only been one made.
That's right. You know, it was Johnny Carson who started the joke, the inaccurate joke that people don't really eat fruitcakes. There's just one, and it just gets circulated around the world. People regift it. Well, here's news. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Johnny Carson is rotting in his grave, and we're still here. So I think we know who won that one.
And you guys produce. We'll talk about fruitcake for a second.
You bet.
We'll talk about the other things y'all do. But y'all produce a lot of fruitcake. This isn't like a one-off, and that cute thing. You guys produce like thousands of pounds of fruitcake every year.
We do, Michael. You're correct, and we baked right around 1 million pounds of fruitcake this last Christmas season, and we sold in all 50 states and about 110 countries this last Christmas from this small business in Corsicana, Texas, exporting a good Texas agriculture production product all around the world.
Yeah. And so, this is it is a unique product.
Yeah.
And that, again, you guys have heard all the jokes about fruitcake, right? But yet what is no joke is that there are folks who will eagerly, as soon as they know y'all are beginning production, they will sign up in October so they can hand them out to their friends.
Correct.
Not only here, around the world. Y'all also sell them now on Amazon. You sell them in grocery stores.
That's right.
A lot of states now, right?
Yes. Yeah, Michael, you're exactly right. We're super blessed to start to test in supermarkets in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And the Brookshire's supermarket company out of Tyler gave us a shot, and Texas-owned small town business. And in 2017, we were in 150 stores, and it went well with our fruitcakes. So in 2018, we got to go to 300 stores. In 2019, we grew to 1,500 stores. And this past Christmas season, we were super blessed to get to supply over 5,000 supermarkets across 40 U.S. states.
Wow.
Which is really, really fun. And I'll tell you, if Collin Street Bakery fruitcake were the only fruitcake that planet Earth ever knew, then every human would have a fruitcake every Christmas. I promise you. And Michael, if you don't mind, actually, we baked a cake for you. And we baked you some fruitcake. So, I mean, you got your cameras rolling. I just thought it'd be good for you to try the most famous fruitcake in the history of Earth right now for your viewers and just see how you like it. So,
I'd love to. Yeah.
So, Mike or Deanna, if you could bring us, who's excited? I'm excited. Deanna Cryer Thank you so much. Here we go, Michael, just for you. Thank you, Deanna. All right, there you go. We've cut them into bite sizes for the camera. There you go.
Thanks, sir.
Best of luck. All righty, cheers. Number one selling fruitcake in the history of Earth.
That's fantastic. Okay, yeah. So, fruitcake, let's talk about this. I want to talk about the history of your bakery in a second. But before that, so, the myth of fruitcake is, it's this dry, it's been sitting in the tin for 9 years,
right?
Kind of thing.
Right.
That's not what you guys make. Right? You also, instead of using walnuts, you make with pecans?
Texas pecans, correct. So this is the original European recipe, okay? Came over in the 1800s, but with a Texas twist, which is in Europe, a lot of walnuts are used, okay? But the most flavorful nut in the history of Earth is the Texas pecan. And so they are Texas pecans, come from 2 different Texas pecan suppliers, which is really exciting. And fruitcake was invented before refrigeration. So you got a farm society, you bake fresh fruits, fresh nuts. How do you preserve them? Pre-refrigeration. You bake them into a cake.
There you go. Yeah.
And maybe you soak them in some sort of spirit. You put them in some sort of alcohol. You put them in cheesecloth, put them down in the cellar. But then in the dead of winter and at Christmas time, you bring it out and you get to say, oh man, that's what fresh strawberries taste like. That's what fresh cherries and whatever. So for us, we use pineapple from Costa Rica, papaya, raisins, cherries, and then our Texas pecans.
Okay, so we're in Corsicana, Texas. We are not in Europe, right? So
That's right.
What is
Thank the Lord.
What is fundamentally a European cake with a Texas twist?
Right.
How did it end up here? I mean, I want to talk about the history of Collin Street because it's very fascinating.
You bet.
The history of Collin Street Bakery, which is kind of tied to why you have a European style.
Correct.
Cake.
100%. And so there was a European master trained baker who came over here in the 1800s. And, back in the day, towns were made and lost on where the railroad stopped.
Right.
And so the railroad came through Corsicana, Texas. Corsicana, side story, first oil well drilled on planet Earth was drilled in the state of Pennsylvania. But Michael, as you know, the first oil well not drilled in Pennsylvania was drilled
right here in
Corsicana, Texas.
That's right.
And so it was an oil boom town, the original Texas oil boom town. And as a result of that, Corsicana became the wealthiest per capita city in the state of Texas.
Wow.
At one time. So this baker comes to town, gets off the train, and gets a job at the local cafe.
Right.
One of these oil guys comes into the cafe and says, man, Gus, you're a great baker. There's no bakery in town. And he said, well, man, I'd start one out on the money. He said, you do now, I'll be your partner. And so the 2 founders of Collin Street Bakery.
So the oil and gas industry.
That's right.
And the fruitcake industry.
That's right.
Tied together in
That's
Texas.
Right. Correct. And when gas prices go down, our fruitcake sales go up. So if you want to hedge against the price of oil.
Invest in fruitcake.
Just saying. But anyway, and so but that's our founding, and so my family did not found the business, but my 4 greats of a grandfather and uncle acquired the business in 1946 after World War II.
Right.
And so it was the first, it's the second generation of ownership was my family, and then 3rd, 4th, and then I'm the 4th generation of family ownership, 5th generation of owners in general.
Right. Okay. So, talk to me for a minute about why it's important to your family that it has stayed in the family. You guys have had lots of opportunities, lots of excuses, quite frankly.
Sure.
To say, we're done. We're gonna cash in the fruitcake money, and we're gonna go, do something else. And
Sure.
you as an individual, you went to Texas A&M. You did other things before joining the family business. Why is it important to keep the bakery in the family to you and your family?
Well, it's a wonderful question, Michael. And I'll say this speak for myself. The way I try to view our business, right, as a person of faith is, Michael finished off his fruitcake, by the way. Michael continued to eat the fruitcake. We also have our famous cherry icebox cookies, by the way, Michael.
Wow, get behind me,
I heard these
Satan.
are your kryptonite.
Yeah,
Get behind me, Satan.
Yeah, well, wow.
So anyway, look, cherries are either a fruit or a vegetable, one of the two.
They're good for you, though.
And so, I think it's for your health.
Food right here.
That's right.
Yeah.
To answer your question,
Yeah.
the way I try to view it is that this is not my business, not my family's business.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Lord's business. Every good and perfect gift that we have is from above, right? And so God gives us things to steward. And so the way I view it is like the parable of the talents, right? We've got a master and he gives us talents, and what we do with them is up to us. And so for me, it's not mine. It's not our family's. This is God's business, and it's our job to make the best decisions on behalf of the business possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll also say that I'll say that through that perspective, if you have that perspective, this is not mine. I'm a steward. So what's the right thing to do? I'll tell you, it makes it a lot easier to know what decisions to make after that. Not that they're all easy decisions, but it makes it a lot easier if you know this is God's and you're a steward. Because it's flattering to be given a mission. It's flattering to be given something to take care of. And we take it seriously. But we don't exist. We have a mission statement. Here at, Collin Street Bakery is not a big old corporation, but we're not a mom and pop either. We're somewhere in the middle. So we do have a mission statement. Our mission statement isn't sell as many cakes as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Though that's, nice. The mission statement is to bond friends and families together across generations. Because when people buy our cookies, they're taking them to friends and family.
Right.
Grandkids are coming in town. They can't come unless we have the pink cookies. Right? Oh man, Uncle such and such loves the fruitcake. I send it to him every year. He shares it with his family up there. It's a tradition. We think tradition's important. So our mission is to bond friends and families across generations.
Why is it important for communities to have family-owned businesses? We're in this age, Thomas, where it feels like you see a lot of family-owned businesses close down. It's harder to stay in business, it feels like, for a lot of folks.
No doubt.
Why is it important for a community to have these kind of bedrock family-owned businesses here in Texas?
Man, couple reasons. But we all know life, liberty, and property. Ownership is important.
Mm-hmm.
And when your community is filled with business owners, the accountability is local, the investment is local. And I'll also say this, your culture and your values can stay local.
Mm-hmm.
The best definition of culture that I ever heard, which I did not come up with, is culture is what is rewarded and what is shamed. Right? And so, simple example, if you're in a work environment where people show up late and nobody really says anything, well, then that's a part of your culture. You're a show up late culture. It's rewarded. But if you have a culture that people show up late, you say, hey man, we're a team. We need you here on time so we can work together. Well, then you're shaming showing up late and you're rewarding showing up on time. So you're a show up on time culture, right? So if you have locally owned businesses, then you can build the culture that fits that community.
Right.
And man, we're a small town, hardworking, good, faith-based culture here in our small town. And so a lot of folks work for a business that their headquarters, their ownership is maybe in a big skyscraper in another state, town, country. And their culture and their values may be different than the branch out in what the heck, Texas. And so nothing wrong with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I think local business ownership leads to a culture and values that are rewarded for a local community. And I'll tell you another one is the dollars stay local.
Mm-hmm.
The dollars stay local. If the business is locally owned, then if you shop there, those dollars stay there. We all love Buy American for the obvious reasons.
Right.
But shopping local does the same thing. The money stays here.
What kind of things should state and local government be doing, for example, to maybe to help encourage small business, to
Right.
encourage those family-owned businesses, encourage communities to
Right.
be, rather than seeking the next big box store, to instead make sure that the mom and pop stores are able to thrive.
Right. Well, that's a great question. I'll tell you because you're asking specifically about state and local.
Yeah.
So I'll say the property tax. The property tax don't ask you, hey, did you have a good year? Did you have a rough year?
Right.
Did you do well? Or are you barely hanging on? I read a business book the other day that said, hey, in an average business cycle, and in 10 years, you're going to have 6 good years, 2 banner years, and 2 years that should put you out of business.
Wow.
Okay. And that's going to be your normal cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting theory. Probably right. But in those 2 years that should put you out of business, your property taxes don't change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you how much we pay in property taxes, though you can dig and look them up. It's a lot of money.
Well, and I think for a lot of folks, most people think of property taxes as it relates to their home, and there's the homestead exemption, maybe you're retired, all those kind of things. But for a business, you're not just talking about the dirt, the structure. You're talking about all this very expensive, very unique equipment that we walked past a little earlier, that all of which gets taxed, all of which goes into that burden, doesn't it?
100%. And at least with the federal taxes, that like, if you have a loss, that's recognized.
Right.
If you have a tougher year, that is taken into the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Not true with the property tax. And so, I mean, you got the property tax, franchise tax, the business personal property tax, you've got the sales tax, so many different ones. So anything that can be done to eliminate those, simplify those. And you know how you do it? I'll put in my plug. You limit the size of government.
Hey,
okay. I know. You limit the size of government because then not as many dollars are required to run it. And so, anyway, if you limit government spending, then you don't have to take as many taxes out of family-owned businesses and out of people's pockets.
So I want to shift to Thomas for a second, away from the business to just Thomas McNutt. You kind of skirted past my question a minute ago. Why did you come back to the business? What was it about the business that was attractive to Thomas McNutt, to you and your wife and your kids? Why was it important to you to be here and not working for Walmart, not working for, some real estate company, some oil and gas firm, all the different kind of things you could be doing? Why was it important for you to be at Collin Street Bakery?
Well, all my other relatives had talents and marketable skills. And
but you know what a good fruitcake tastes
that's
like.
Right.
Yeah,
I can taste something and say that's good. Sorry, I had to say it. I'm just kidding. But it was not an easy decision
mm-hmm.
To come and being raised with a family business. With most people do not have a family business option, right? A lot more people try to start family businesses than have ones that are existing. And so it was important to me to not take that for granted. For me, little known fact, I was a high school football coach for 3 years. And I loved it and I enjoyed it. And I played before that and I love that sport. But my Uncle Bob offered me a job and said, Thomas, if you come to work at Collin Street, love to have you, but zero pressure whatsoever. And so for me, it was just a lot of prayer and a lot of talking to mentors to decide this path. But I'm so glad I made it, and I've learned so much, and I get to work with incredible people. And I'm glad I did it. So that may not be the answer you're looking for, but for me, it was not an easy decision. A lot of prayer.
What kind of advice would you give to the young man, young woman who is kind of at that juncture where they, can, follow off some, corporate path.
Sure.
Or, go work for a community-based, family-owned business? What kind of advice would you give? What kind of questions would you think they should be asking of themselves?
You bet. Well, there's an exercise that I got exposed to, kind of a North Star exercise that was helpful to me, which basically just said, hey, take out a sheet of paper and write down, and I know that we don't teach our kids to write anymore, but
take out your notes app on your phone.
That's right. Pull out an app. There's an app for that. And write down, what are you passionate about? Because really, I mean, sure, the world needs different professions, but you know what the world needs most is passionate people. People are passionate about what they do. So write down your passions. Write down your skill set. What are you good at? And then write down your market opportunities. And I would see how those intersect. For me, I'd pray about it. And then also find mentorship. I'm super blessed, okay, to have a phenomenal mentor. Okay. And family members to speak into my life, pastors, whatever else. But I write down, what are you passionate about? What is your skill set? And what are your market opportunities? And pray about it. And if you've got some time, man, you're going to end up exactly where you need to be. But to put in a plug for family business alone, I'll say this. Most people, as I understand, on their deathbed, don't say they wish they worked more, made more money, whatever. Apparently, most of them say, I wish I'd spent more time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And we spend most of our waking hours, most of us, at work with your work family. And that's great. That's okay. But if you have the rare opportunity to be able to cross those things over and both get to work with your family, if you like them, if you get along with them, whatever else, not always easy. But it you really can't have your fruitcake and eat it too. To do that. So it is not for everyone, and not everybody has the opportunity, but if you have a shot at it and can make it work, I think that's the American spirit. I think we're creators. I think we're capable. And I think if you got an idea that'll help people and you feel like you can compete, man, give it a go.
Thomas McNutt, thank you so much for sitting down. Very briefly, before we end, where physically on the planet can folks, as they're bebopping around the highways and byways of Texas, where can they find a Collin Street Bakery? Besides, of course, right here in downtown Corsicana.
You bet. From anywhere in the world, collinstreet.com.
There you go.
collinstreet.com, fruitcake, pies, you name it, on collinstreet.com, or stop at one of our highway stores.
Outstanding.
Michael Quinn Sullivan.
All right, so I'm going to now devour my favorite cookie on the planet. And Thomas, thank you.
Cheers.
And thank you for joining us.